I have to ask you, obviously, about KSI leaving.
At one point, we said, if one of us leaves, does that end the Sidemen? How long until this bubble bursts?
Goes to show how powerful the group can be.
Legacy.
Ultimately,
Boys, man.
This is honestly the hardest video I've ever had to make in my life.
So you were Vikkstar.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2.
Yeah, because Vikkstar was taken by some girl called Vicky. She got the YouTube channel first. I'd be recording in this call with everyone, talking, having fun. Stop, turn off my computer, and I'd be like just sat in my bedroom. And I haven't spoken to anyone in the real world in days. But then I came to know the Sidemen, and we're seeing if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to go somewhere far, go together.
But you must see the comments, and it must make an impact.
Yes.
But before we get to that, there's always tension in groups. How do you manage that tension?
You can't see the illness, you can't measure the illness, but I was hospitalized and there was a Sidemen video and we'd been running around filming all day. I'm just like, I'm in pieces.
You've clearly become very successful. What do you believe you still have to prove, and to whom?
That was the low point in the Sidemen arc.
Look, pause with me for just a second. Now, whether you've been with us every single week since day one, or you just drop in when a guest catches your eye, I see you. I truly appreciate you. Every comment, every share, every time you show up, it matters. We're building a really special community here. If you want to support what we're doing without spending a penny, please just take a second and click the subscribe button. It costs nothing, but it signals to the world that these conversations matter. Thank you for being on this journey with us. Now, let's get started. Come in and make yourself comfortable. I'm so happy you're here. Where would you like to start? How would you characterize Sheffield for anyone who has not visited?
Oh, that's a good question. It's very English and it's smaller than London. So if people have been to London, you kind of get this idea that all of the UK is this huge sprawling city, but Sheffield was quite small. It felt, quite homely. The Peak District is nearby, which was beautiful. It was a nice place to grow up.
Yeah. I tell you what stands out to me about Sheffield is I went. You probably would know this place too. Is oh my gosh, I should have. It was like Fork or Spoon Hall or something along those lines. Was it
Spoon Hall in the city centre?
In the city centre.
Yeah, because they used to make all the cutlery, the steel. Yeah, in the city centre. So yes, I know where you're talking about, but I don't think that's the exact name, but I can't think what it is. But it's something to do with cutlery. Cutler's Hall.
Cutler's Hall, yeah. Oh
yeah, Cutler's Hall.
That's what it is, yeah.
There you go.
And what blew me away was that was the epicenter of cutlery in all of England.
Yeah, Sheffield steel's very, very famous, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So then how do you believe that history, right, impacted the community and the people who were there and their characteristics?
That's interesting. Yeah, I think people, they almost like very, salt of the earth people. Everyone was quite genuine. They say the further north you go in England, kind of the more people will tell you stuff as it is. So I feel like you got a lot of that. Sometimes, places were a little rough around the edges in that kind of slightly more northern way, a little less polite and reformed than things are down in London, less expectations of that. But yeah, good people, friendly people. I had a good time there, yeah.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And to your point is I felt like there was a little bit more, I'm going to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it with a smile.
Yeah. I remember when I first moved to Sheffield, I found it really difficult because I had to go to a new school, had to fit in. Everyone spoke differently. I distinctly remember them having different slang.
Ah, okay.
So in Sheffield, I was born in Guildford, was there until I was kind of 6 or 7, moved to Sheffield, and it was the strangest piece of slang I remember, is in Sheffield they call an alleyway a gennel. Right? Is that not just, you can't even think how they got to that slang term. But that was one that stuck out to me. And it just is so different to the word. When people would say it, I had no idea what they were talking about. So I remember the first few years that I was in Sheffield, it was kind of a bit of a shock. I'm like, okay, everyone's a bit different here. It's my first time in life experiencing change.
Yes.
So that was difficult. And I think possibly kind of knocked my confidence a lot. I went from being a very chatty kid to moving to Sheffield, and it was like, okay, it's different here. I don't really know what I'm doing. But as the years went on, I definitely kind of learned to understand people better. I developed a Sheffield accent. If you go to my early YouTube videos, I have the broadest northern accent, which is hilarious.
So you think that your accent, though, has shifted, though, over the years?
Yeah, and then it shifted back pretty quickly after I started YouTube, because I realised that people across the world watching the content, they wouldn't understand if I was using Sheffield slang and had that Sheffield accent. It's funny. And I also was making a lot of videos with people from all over the world. So people in Canada, people in Australia through gaming online.
Okay.
I had to make sense to them. So it was very quickly reverted back to I guess, neutral English. I wouldn't say I have a particular accent now. It's more Southern, but it's just kind of neutral English.
It's neutral English. It's interesting because I could hear the Northern.
Really?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
that's good because most people can't.
Yeah, I can hear just a little bit
Okay.
in there. Yeah, and so and I didn't realize that. So I didn't realize that you were not born in Sheffield.
No.
But you moved there. You said when you were 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Yeah.
Okay, and how does that, you think, impact you? Right, because I remember moving when I was younger. Like I moved from Jamaica, Queens to Long Island, which is outside New York. And then we moved from there to Virginia. And I remember how challenging it was, at least for me, to make my way into the social circle.
Yeah.
You know? So what was the impact to you?
I would say it's something that I never really truly recovered from, in a sense, of those years at school. I never felt like I properly fit in. But then maybe that's me as a person, which is also fine.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I found that, I mean, you've clearly become very successful as an entrepreneur. And I mean, extraordinarily successful as an entrepreneur. Let's just call it what it is. And we're going to talk about that. But I have found that most of the incredibly successful just people, whether it be in entrepreneurship, music, whatever it may be, is that typically there's this feeling of not feeling enough at a young age.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's a drive that comes from that. So if you tap into that, what do you believe it was for you at a young age that you were not getting or feeling that then compelled you forward?
Yeah, I think there was a degree of that in, not being the most kind of popular person. You're always sat there thinking, like, as a kid, you're like, how can I be more popular? What can I do? And nothing really worked. And I think maybe that was part of the drive, but also I think, honestly, I got lucky. I found that my hobby could become a job, and no one really understood that at that point. So I was lucky to, one, have this gaming and online world as kind of my escape from the day-to-day life, and this place where I could reinvent myself as anyone. And then also the fact that I was sharing the videos and discovered that other people online were watching the videos. It gave me this new exciting project to pursue. But I mean, I guess there was that drive, but it was never in my head formalized as a drive. It was just, hey, this is fun, this is cool, I'm going to keep trying to do this and do this better. And that was it.
Okay. So then before you even put a camera on yourself or audio, right?
Yeah.
When did you start gaming?
Gaming from longer than I can remember ago, because I've got 2 older brothers. So video games growing up, Nintendo 64,
Yeah.
Game Boy Color, Pokemon, GoldenEye, all these games, I was playing them. My older brothers would play them, so I would always want to be involved. And I guess the funny part is that they would never want me on their team when they're playing like split screen. And that probably gave me another drive. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get good at these games. And now I think either of them, I beat them any day, any game.
Yeah. Now you're like, here. But that's interesting, though.
Yeah.
So as the little brother, you want to play with them. You want to be on their team. And they're like, nah.
Yeah. He has to go on your team for this game. Like, yeah. So,
Okay. So now it's age 14. I think that becomes this major pivotal point in your life.
yes.
But before we get to that, can I show you a photo?
Okay.
All right. So I want you to take a look at this.
Aha.
All right, so tell me, roughly, how old are you? What's happening for you right now?
That's a good question. I'm probably maybe like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
And I'm holding our infamous pet duck. So yeah, growing up, I'm not entirely sure why. I think my parents are not entirely sure why, but growing up, we had a pet duck and a pet chicken.
Really?
Genuinely, yeah. Strange one to have. I think my parents went to the zoo, to the farm to get rabbits for us, which would have been a sensible pet. And they said, we don't have any rabbits, but we have this duck and this chicken that are basically like the runts of the litter, so the smallest ones in their litter. So they won't be looked after very well in the zoo. Would you like to take them? For whatever reason, my parents said yes, and we had a pet duck.
Vic, you had a duck.
Yeah, called Chocolate. So
Okay. Now so I'm a dog dad.
same.
And I'll hold on to that. And I think our our pets teach us things.
So much.
What did your duck Chocolate teach you?
I don't think I was at the right age, and I don't think I was really responsible for the duck. It taught me that they make a complete mess of a patio, because you cannot train a duck or a chicken to go to the toilet in one place. You just can't do it. So, yeah, I remember hosing down the patio, endlessly trying to just keep it clean, because they do what they want.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know if I met anyone who had a pet duck. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's certainly a unique one.
All right, so you mentioned your 2 older brothers there and your parents.
Yes.
What would you say at an early age, right? What did you learn about love from your parents? And I'm not talking about romantic love, right? I'm just talking about love in general.
Yeah.
And the reason why I ask that, and I ask that often, is because how we perceive love when we are at that age
Yes.
typically impacts how we then perceive love as an adult.
Yeah.
So how did you view love from your parents at that time?
It's a good question. Really, no one's ever asked me a question anywhere near that that requires me to kind of go back that far and think. Because I guess when you're a kid, you're not even thinking in these. Your thought process is not this. But I think it was very much that they were there for each other. So it was kind of acts of service for each other was their main thing, making sure that we always were doing the best we could do. That was the main thing that I saw, is kind of they were working as a team to make sure that we could thrive as kids the best we could, and that's what I saw, I think.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. So you saw that teamwork between them, and you felt like they were working in part for you and your brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's beautiful. So now, before we get to 14, let's stop at 13.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why I want to stop at 13 is because I have I have a 15-year-old and then I have a 12-year-old.
Okay.
And I feel like at that 12, you're really starting for the first time to create an identity for yourself.
Yeah.
And I always say identity is the story we tell about ourselves that we believe. So when you think back to 13, what was your identity?
It's a good question. I would say my identity was someone who loved video games a lot. That was my primary passion. It was someone that enjoyed excelling at school. I'd been fortunately put in a position where I was able to really excel at school. So that was kind of a bit of a part of my personality at that point, or my identity at that point, was that I could succeed in that environment, and that was nice. And my identity was that I was a younger brother, so I had these somewhat cooler older brothers at the same school, so that was a bit of a part of my identity. There would be teachers who knew them before they knew me, so they kind of already had an idea of what I would be like, which was interesting.
Okay.
And maybe I was possibly a little bit quiet at that point in my life, which is interesting because I was probably trying to work out what is my identity and a little bit afraid in social settings to put myself out there too much, kind of that fear of perception.
Yes.
So.
And I think what's tough too is when you have older brothers who you just said cool older brothers.
Yeah.
So they were cool.
In my head, yes. In reality, and who knows? Someone will probably call on me to go no. But in my world, they were. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
There will be somebody probably watching something like this who went to school with them.
They'll be like, they were not.
I think you guys are cool. Yeah, you're cool. You're still cool.
That's hilarious. But I think that's so important because from your perception, they were. So I think a lot of younger brothers, when you know that you have a cooler older brother, or at least two of them, you're always trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Right. Did you consider yourself to be cool?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. Just because I wasn't. I think I knew that from that point. I guess I was trying to be, but I don't think I was. And I think I knew I wasn't. And maybe that was why I was a little more reserved. And it's like chicken and the egg. Almost to be cool, you have to think you're cool, and then you become cool. So, yeah, maybe that's a life lesson, right?
Yeah. So interesting because you became very cool.
Yeah, and very uncool at the same time, and I'm okay with that. So I think that's also part of the fun.
Yeah. So, all right. So now, just so I can ask though, what was it about you at 13 that made you believe you were not cool?
I wasn't athletic, couldn't play any sports. Growing up, I would say at any point, but especially we're going back 17 years or so, growing up at that age and not being able to be good at any sport, that's not good. There was not one sport I could do, and I think for some reason it was every lunch break, everyone plays football. I just never was able to. So I think that was a big part of it. And also, I think because I excelled in academic studies, that also was something that was not seen as cool. So I had those two things that I just knew this is the way it is, this is who I am. It is what it is kind of situation.
I get it. I get it. I think you're painting a good picture, as to what life was like at 13.
Yeah.
So then let's go into 14. Because this is where I think your life just begins to take a whole nother trajectory.
Yeah.
So at 14, is that the first time that you start recording yourself playing video games?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay. Now, why? What was the purpose?
Genuinely, it was pretty much to share with some of my other friends I had that also played the same video games. And it was almost this, there wasn't anything in the games to show them. So it was like, I did this, I recorded it, have a look. And they had their own YouTube channel that was actually much bigger than my YouTube channel, and they were sharing clips. And it was kind of mostly to share with each other and show things that we were doing that we thought were cool in the game. It could be cool in the gaming world if I wasn't in the real world. That was the idea. And then other people started watching them, started watching me, and it just opened this eye up to, hang on a second, there's people that I don't know. I sent this video to 5 friends, 8 of them have watched the video, and it was just like, who are these 3 people? This is cool. These are completely unknown people. Let me see if I can make videos more of them would want to watch. It was more of a curiosity and a fascination that led to something that built over time.
Okay, I see it. So now, did you start though with the camera, with your face on camera? Or no, it was all...
No. Yeah, and it's almost funny to think back. I grew up in a time when it was like, protect your identity, do not talk to strangers, do not put your pictures online, do not put videos online, pre any of the social media we have now. Now it's very different. So many kids have phones with front-facing cameras. They start making social media content
right away
from a young age. And I think also in a lot of ways, because it's so widely distributed, it feels safer to do that. I think when I grew up, it was kind of be wary of strangers. There wasn't as much monitoring of those situations where kids would end up in bad situations, kind of contacting people they shouldn't have been contacting.
Got it.
But that meant that I was originally just the game and a voice, which is also how it was when I was gaming online, which was quite nice because it almost allowed you to really reinvent your personality, because I was Vikkstar123, this alias I'd thought up for myself that I thought was cool. And I was just the gaming ability and the voice. That was who I was. And I had all of these friends that I knew from online. Funnily enough, we'll get to it later, I'm sure, but the Sidemen, we all played video games before we met each other as people. And you think, it just goes to show what that can be. But I was just, this this username online when I started gaming.
So you were Vikkstar, it was
1, 2, 3.
One, two-
Yeah, because Vikkstar was taken by some girl called Vicky.
All right.
She got the YouTube channel first, or the username.
So you had to be Vikkstar 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So how do you believe at, say, 14, 15, going into 15, how was Vikkstar 1, 2, 3 different than Vic who went to school every day?
Very, very different because, again, YouTube, social media, it's cool now, was not cool back then. So it was something that, again, it would have been another thing for people to go like, they would say to me, they would like, why do you sit in front of a microphone and talk to people on the internet while you play video games? This is weird, man. This is not cool. And it's funny how that changed because kind of by the time I got to my A-levels, doing sixth form at school, and all of a sudden my YouTube was a business and there were large numbers of people watching and kind of people would recognize me in public. That's when, to the people at school, they were like, oh, I get this. This is actually quite cool. But until that point, that's what they say, right? When you start, everything is embarrassing. You just have to start because once you get past, you have to go through the embarrassing stage to make it anyway. So I learned that from that point. So yeah, very different people, but I guess they had their similarities because it wasn't acting, I wasn't inventing a persona. It was me on both sides, but maybe even allowed me to put myself out a bit more.
Exactly, because that's what I would imagine, is that you weren't two different people. You were just taking probably characteristics that you had and playing up certain aspects.
Yep.
Probably more of the social, front-facing, charismatic attributes.
That took time. If you watch my old videos, you'll realize that took time before it landed. But it's a skill you have to learn. That's it.
Yes. I mean, I've watched quite a few of your videos, and I do think that you have changed. My impression is in confidence.
Yeah.
Agree. As you've gone through the years. At what point though did you put the camera? Did you put your face on camera?
It would have been maybe like 2013 or 14. I did like a little bedroom tour where I showed my setup. Originally shocked people quite a lot because they didn't expect me to look the way I look, which was an interesting time. I think the internet was very unhinged back then. And I think that's also part of why I was scared to put myself out there as a human entity that people could kind of judge rather than just based on a voice and the game I was playing. So it took a lot to do that. And even when I would be doing that, it took a lot of confidence and push from the other Sidemen. So when I started living with them, and they were all filming themselves without kind of any embarrassment or, any reservations, that inspired me more to be like, okay, I need to be on the camera. People need to know me as a person, not just the game that I'm playing, if I want to take this further down the line. That it made sense, but it was super out of my comfort zone. And crazy to think that if I had just at that point said, I'm never going to be on camera, there's absolutely no conceivable way I'd have this career now. So out of the comfort zone has to be done.
There you go. I mean, these are great, just lessons, like
Yeah.
life lessons, career lessons. So now, going back to before A-levels, right? At what point did you go from occasional, or did you go from, I feel like this is fun, I'm Vikkstar 1, 2, 3, right? To, this could be a business. At what point did you feel like this could actually be even a career?
It's probably when I signed my first contract with this big American YouTube partner network called Machinima. Don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
They're one of the very early on the scene in the gaming space. And when we started making videos, you couldn't monetize YouTube videos. That's how early we were. If you think like now everyone wants to be a YouTuber or a content creator as a job, when we started, you literally couldn't put adverts on your videos or get paid.
Okay.
So before you could even monetize your own channel, they came and they had their own channel that they had monetized. And they said, we'll pay you if you send your videos to us. We'll post them to our channel and we'll pay you $2 per 1,000 views or whatever it was. And I couldn't believe this. I was probably 14 or 15 years old at the time, had to get my parents to sign this contract for me as my legal guardians. And at that point, I'm not gonna lie, I probably thought I was a bit of a big shot. I was like, hang on a second, got my first contract. Okay, gonna make a couple dollars a month. But I think that's the point where I realized, hang on a second, this thing I've been doing purely as a fun experiment, someone's gonna pay me for this now. Okay, this could theoretically be not even a job at that point. I was like, this could be a really good side job. So I'm not gonna have to go and get another job somewhere else. I could do this potentially as my side job. That was the idea at that point.
Wow. So at 14, 15, you thought, okay, YouTube could be at least a side job.
Yeah.
All right. So now I would imagine you're still doing well at school.
Yeah.
Parents, family think you're going off to university.
Yes.
Right? But you don't.
No.
So walk me back to that, because you did quite well at school and your A-levels, right?
Yes. Yeah, I did, really well. That was always the deal with my parents. You can do your YouTube hobby thing, we'll support it, we'll, help you out where they can. I mean, they didn't really understand what I was doing, but they were like, do your thing. They weren't against it. But the trade deal was all the exams, the studies, that can't slip away. So I pretty much also at that point became very unsociable in the real world, because I was doing all my studies, then I was doing all my YouTube stuff. And I used to run home from school at lunch to set videos to upload or set videos to render out the editing software.
Wow.
Because computers and upload speeds were so slow then. If I wanted to post a video every day, I would have to edit it in the evening, set it to export and render all the clips together overnight. Sometimes I'd wake up before school and it would still be going, or it had crashed. That was the worst. You'd wake up and the editing software's crashed and you're like, well, okay.
I gotta go to school.
Yeah, so you set it to export again, go to school, run back from school at lunch, set the video to upload, and then maybe 7-8 hours later, it would be uploaded. And also, during the whole time it was uploading, the family internet was
true.
It was gone. It was
true.
completely overloaded by the fact that I was uploading this video, so I couldn't even game and record another video until that process was done. So, I was kind of running around the clock, and that made me a little kind of busy with those things. But the deal was, do well at school, do your YouTube thing, and I think this was one thing my parents always taught me that I think was a good thing, is the saying, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. So I was kind of doing the YouTube thing and also keeping my university options open. So I got a place for natural sciences at UCL, which I think would have been really challenging to do. I couldn't decide which science I liked, so I said I'll do all of them as a degree, which when I went to all the universities to do open days, they were kind of saying, this is going to be tough. You're not on one course here. You go and do modules from 3 different university courses.
Right.
Which I think would have been really tough. And maybe in my head at that point, I was thinking, well, I can just maybe make this YouTube thing work at least for a few years.
But UCL, so according to what I have seen, is UCL, and I wasn't familiar with it, is that consistently ranked as one of the top schools in the world.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are offered a place. At UCL. Your parents I'm a parent. I would say you're going to school.
They did want that. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So how did you convince them otherwise?
Well, I think it just, fortunately for me, it landed at this great time where I could do this gap year. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, if I can make some okay money doing this, balancing it with my studies, let me give it 1 year to really go for it. And it actually worked quite well, because I was like, I'm going to put my all in. And it's almost, I had that insurance policy. Let's say I get 9 months into this year and either 1, I don't enjoy doing it anymore. 2, my audience has disappeared and abandoned me because I got boring. Or 3, even at that time, it's funny to think, I was sat there looking at it, and even my parents the same. And we were going, okay, so I'm earning money playing video games and posting it to the internet. How long until this bubble bursts? It didn't make sense at that time. You're thinking, okay, you've been doing this for a year or 2. It feels a bit too good to be true. When is this all gonna... And I guess theoretically, potentially it could have ended. One of the game publishers could have come in and said, hey, YouTube, you're not allowed to monetize any content on our game. And for me, if it was one of the big games I was covering, theoretically it could have all gone. So that's why I had to keep the options open.
Okay.
But luckily, the gap year was this perfect way of saying, I'm not saying I'm not going. I'm just like, give me a year.
Give me a year just to put my head down on YouTube, right? So now, roughly, how much were you making, though, at that time?
Ooh, I would say probably between like 20 and 30,000 a year. A year. This is a year.
Oh wow!
But it's
Okay,
it's
so
identifiable as a job at that point.
that's substantial.
Yeah, definitely.
That's full-time income for many
Yes.
people. All right. So, and you were how old at that time?
I would have been 18, so just finished my A levels. Yeah.
Okay. So now I can also appreciate you saying that you didn't have a social life,
Yeah.
right? Because at that
It's a
time
full-time job,
It's a
yeah.
full-time job.
Yeah.
When you reflect back, though, do you think you missed out on any of your childhood?
It's a good question. I'm gonna say no, because for who I was, it was what I wanted to be doing. And I think actually maybe I would have ended up chasing something else that wasn't for me had I not had this gaming and online career kind of building for me.
Okay.
So I don't feel like one thing, I guess, if I had to pick one thing I maybe missed out on, it would have been going to university itself. I never got that experience. I got a completely different experience, which was amazing. But a lot of my friends, they do talk very fondly about their time at university. It's this twilight period between being a kid and being an adult where people have a lot of fun. And actually, again, we'll get to it later. But the only times I've been to universities in the UK now is to DJ a lot during freshers. And I'm like, I see these people having so much fun. And I'm like, I missed this, but it was all worth it.
Have you ever noticed how many of your friends are sitting on great business ideas? It's usually nothing to do with thinking their idea isn't good enough and everything to do with the execution side feeling a bit too technical. But with our show sponsor, Shopify, so much of the technical side is taken care of for you. It enables you to set up your own online store without a developer. You just pick a store template, customize it to your own branding, upload some product photos, set your prices, and you're live. Shopify looks after your payments, inventory, orders, returns. It even helps with calculating shipping rates. And if you also want help selling your products, Shopify's built-in tools write product descriptions, create email campaigns, and schedule social posts for you too. It makes the technical part of running a business so much easier. So give it a try yourself and sign up for your £1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.co.uk/need-to-talk. So then you just go all in, right? Can you talk about what all in is? Because I've had the privilege of talking to folks like Dan TDM, Tommy Innit, Talia Mar, people who have done very well with YouTube. And the commonality, and I know this is your story too, is that they were relentless in posting.
You live in it.
You live it. So describe to us what was that year like for you?
So it was an interesting year. And at the start, so in terms of just hours, genuinely, we're talking 15, 16 hours every single day working on something to do with the content, whether that's recording it, whether that's editing it, whether that's speaking with other people, doing content about what is working, what isn't working, how it can be better. I think I was probably posting 2 or 3 videos a day.
A day, okay.
At this point, and I kind of made a deal with myself when I started the gap year. I said, okay, I'm potentially giving away a great opportunity at university, having a good degree, going and getting a good job. So I said to myself, I'm going to upload a new YouTube video to my main YouTube channel every single day without fail for as long as I possibly can. And I think probably for 7 or 8 years, maybe a few hours I missed it by, but the cadence of one video every single day, I stuck to that. And again, I didn't know at the time, but I realize now that's how you get good at anything. It's reps, putting stuff out, not worrying too much about it being perfect. They say build it first, make it perfect later. And that's kind of how it went. But it was also great because the space was not so saturated back in 2014, this is. So I could cover loads of different games, genuinely was having fun playing the games and the challenge of making it entertaining to view, doing it with some of my best friends who I'm still friends with loads of them today,
okay,
which is great. So while I sit here and say it was every waking hour was working on this YouTube channel, this wasn't against my will. This was like, I love it. I can't wait to find out what's next. That's not to say it wasn't tough at times.
Yes.
The biggest challenge was when we would go away on a trip. If I'd go away for 4 days, I would make double the amount of videos. Because I was thinking, I don't want to give these people 4 days without my content. They're going to go and watch someone else.
Yes. Yes.
So it was completely, non-stop. But the thing that was interesting is back in Sheffield, I had a few friends, but they then left to go to university. And I did realise that I was staying up all night pretty much to record with people in Canada, America, Australia. I'd go to bed as the sun was coming up at 5 or 6 a.m. some days because that was how I was recording with people from overseas. You just had to be available and around at those hours. And it would be like I'd turn off my computer. I'd be in this call with everyone talking, having fun. I'd like stop, turn off my computer, and I'd be like just sat in my bedroom. I'm like, I haven't spoken to anyone in the real world in days that isn't my parents, who I'm annoying by yelling into my microphone at 3 or 4 in the morning. I think they put up with a lot of that, honestly.
Yes.
So it's almost hilarious when you think back to it. But then the flip side of that was 3 or 4 months into my gap year, maybe actually more like 4 or 5 months in, I came to know the Sidemen. 3 of them wanted to move out from where they were moving in, from where they were living. So we all moved into a house together, and that was probably the most pivotal change. Everything changed at that point.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
All right, so that we definitely have to talk about. But even in that, because I could, you painted a great visual. I could see you yelling into a microphone.
Yeah.
The sun is coming up. Your parents have been sleeping.
Or they're waking up to go to work.
Yeah, they're waking
They would
up.
see me in the hallway, and they would just be like, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing, right? So now, help me understand though. So I mean, your parents are professionals. Your brothers, your older brothers, did they go off to university?
They both, one did computer science and one did medicine. So
Okay. And here's
I was
Vic.
born to be an academic, but I missed that one.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, so here's Vic,
Yeah.
who had an offer to UCL, who now is in his bedroom, probably in his pajamas. What were you wearing?
Oh, yeah. Probably, tracksuit bottoms and a T-shirt that I'd been wearing for 2 days.
Right. Not even taking a shower, right?
Honestly.
What do you truly, did you feel as if your family were on the same page as you? Did they see the vision that you had, or were you the only one?
I think they didn't see the vision, and I would often try and explain to them, but I think that's just because it was so, you couldn't have foresight on what the space was going to become. So I had to try and persuade them, this could become this, I could be doing this, I might get this. Parts of it they just didn't physically understand because it was numbers online. And I think when we started running events like, or when we started running events like meet and greets and our charity football matches, then it became much more tangible to them because it's kind of a visual thing that they could see.
Yeah.
Whereas when it was numbers online, it didn't make so much sense. So they could see I was clearly excited about it, and I was earning money from it, so it wasn't a complete waste of my time at that point. So from their point of view, they couldn't see the vision, and I often would try and explain it to them. But I think also I was just, fortunately, childishly optimistic about the whole thing. And I think they've lived their whole life of things were not always easy for them. So they would look at it and think, can this really go the way he says it's going to go? So they were always there giving that resounding, but it also was good because it gave it this grounding sense of, and it made me also fortunate to be in that position. I was like, I have to keep working in this position. I can't say, I'm making some good money, I've made it now, kick my feet up and let it fall apart. It was almost, they'd instilled on me that whatever you do, you have to work hard on it, do it to the best of your ability. That's how you succeed. So
Okay. How does, before you move in with the Sidemen, right? So you're still in the home, you're waking up all the time, or actually, I don't even know how many hours are you sleeping at that point?
Not enough. Probably some nights 5 hours, and then some nights I would, the weirdest one that I remember so distinctly is some nights I would end up recording really late because it's going great, these guys are making so many videos, I can't miss out on going to bed while the Americans are recording these big videos. So I'd stay up till sometimes 9 a.m. I'd go to sleep and I'd be so frazzled, I'd wake up, and in the winter the sun had set again. at like 5 p.m. when I would wake up and be like, it's dark, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. And then I wake up at 10 p.m. It was not healthy. It was
No.
It was a degenerate cycle. I would say.
And when you now think about that time period, how did that impact your mental health?
Yeah, it probably wasn't great. And I realized that maybe 8 years into this career that, okay, this is all your life is at the moment. It's chasing these uploads, it's chasing these views, it's chasing these subscribers, this revenue. And I did have to kind of make a big shift in my life to finally step away from that. But the sad reality is also that's how I got to the point where I could make it so successful. It's like the 10,000 hour rule. You have to get to 10,000 hours in something before you've mastered it. I got there very quickly by doing 16 hours of it every single day without fail. So it was a trade-off, but one that I did have to change. And it wasn't a healthy mindset, but that's not to say I wasn't having fun throughout the whole process and generally very excited and optimistic about it. It just couldn't last long term.
Okay. And what was it that you were excited about, right? What was it that was lighting you up? Was it the follower count? Was it the money? Was it the access to other people online, that you maybe looked up to? Was it all the above?
I would be lying if I didn't say it was all of the above. All of these things are positive for me, and it was almost we were proving ourselves in doing this. And I think one thing that has always stuck with me is I remember when I was 17, I went to a gaming event, and I'd been covering Call of Duty non-stop at this point, and Call of Duty had this event, and technically I was invited to it, but because I wasn't 18, I wasn't able to go to the event to play and record the game. And I was like so devastated that I couldn't get this really cool access to cover this game that I loved early that everyone else was doing. And there were other situations where we were just desperate to get access to games to make content, and we were kind of told no. So it was almost exciting every step of the way, saying, hang on, all of these people who said no to us early on, they're turning around, coming back to us, offering us more, wanting our help and kind of valuing what we've built. So it was almost a nice part also just to kind of prove people wrong, which I think is kind of what you said, is if you do grow up in a situation where you do feel like you're not appreciated or cool, you want to kind of prove people wrong to a degree. So
yes.
So that was part of it. Yeah.
Because I can feel along your journeys that there's this hunger.
Yeah.
That I can even still see to this day. It exists. And so now tell me about this. Here's another photo. All right, you ready? All right.
Okay.
I want you to tell me about who's in this photo.
Okay.
All right. And these guys.
The boys. Iconic picture.
All right. So who's in that?
This is the Sidemen way back when, we're little kids effectively.
Exactly. And how old do you think you are in that?
It's a good question. I was probably either 18 or 19. So this is very shortly after I've moved away from home for the first time, and I'm living with these completely, who were at the start unknown guys.
Okay.
But we were having fun. It's amazing.
And you decided. So how did you come about? How did the Sidemen form?
Yeah. The Sidemen came together pretty much by accident, which is why I think it works so well. We all had our own YouTube channels that we'd all had we'd all jumped out of our comfort zone to make ourselves. We'd all seen this. We were all into video games, wanted to put ourselves out there playing them. And then social media started coming onto the scene 2010, 2011. And the main one we were all about was Twitter back then. That was kind of where you could find the YouTube community at that point. It was, again, very unsaturated. It was just us on there. And we would all follow each other just to kind of, you were watching to see, hey, what is everyone else doing in the YouTube scene?
Okay.
Who's doing the same as me? Who could I collaborate with for videos? And so we'd seen each other doing that. And then the big moment, without us realizing it, was when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. We all decided to start playing the game together just because we thought it would be fun to make content together. I actually, funnily enough, happen to know a lot about the technical side of YouTube, so how the algorithms worked and how the systems worked and when things broke. people would often be like, Vic, this is broken. How do I deal with it? How do I make this do better? And Josh from the Sidemen happened to be asking me about some YouTube issue where I joined their call. And then for me, the reason I'm in the Sidemen was they said, hey, we're recording some GTA next. Do you want to join? And I said, yes. And we were just recording as independent creators together to all make videos for our own channels. And funnily enough, Ethan had made us a Grand Theft Auto crew. So we could all just join the lobby together. It wasn't really much more than just a way of all joining the same game. And as a bit of a laugh, a bit of fun, he named the crew the Ultimate Sidemen, which is it's peak English. I'm sure as you know.
It is
English humor. It's, you would fire a shot at yourself. Yeah. We're the Sidemen. We're just the ultimate.
You're the ultimate
Sidemen.
You're not the main man.
No,
you're the Sidemen. Yeah.
Yeah. So he made this GTA crew, and that's how we joined the game. Thought nothing more of it, and we started making these videos together, and people online loved them. They thought that we got on well. They enjoyed what we were doing. And they started commenting under the videos, I love Sidemen GTA videos. When is there going to be more Sidemen GTA videos? And we, without realizing it, had created a group, a brand, effectively. So we just kind of carried on that process. We then went on to meet up in real life at gaming events. Like, okay, we all seem to get on. We all had the same mission, effectively, but we're all very different people, which is fun because we're learning from each other. And that's how it started. And then 4 of us moved into a house together. The other 3 guys moved into an apartment building not too far away. And then we transitioned from the video games to the real life cameras, which again, for me, was so out of my comfort zone. And I would have never have done it without them. I would have never had the confidence to do it or felt the need to do it. And that's when we combined all of our audiences of a few 100,000 subscribers each to this kind of group that had maybe 1 million followers, and then as time went on, it became bigger and bigger.
Can you unpack some of that for me, right? Okay. Because that is, I think, an incredible story. Mm-hmm. But you have 7 different personalities, right, in that. And there's many people who I'm sure you've built up an audience, and you think, okay, well, I'm not going to join another group. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to join a group. I'd rather be a solo act.
Yeah.
So what do you think it was about the personalities, even about yourself, because this is about you, that allowed you to join a group opposed to continue on solo? Because you're doing fine.
Yeah.
Solo.
So I think it was a handful of things. I think it was the scene in general at that point, and always has been something that we've always tried to push forward, is collaboration is more exciting than competition. Realistically, it opens a lot of doors for you. We'd realized that people tended to enjoy us coming together, in some instances more than the stuff we were doing alone. And also, we would just work harder. So we would do both. We would do videos on our own, and then we do videos as a group. And it kind of worked. So I think it was that mindset. It's that you can build something better together. It's like, I think we just realized that early at that point. And also we were having fun and we got on. And that was a real kicker. And we were there to kind of help each other. There's this saying, and I really like it. I think it fits the Sidemen perfectly. And it's, if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to go somewhere far, go together, because you're going to need to rely on each other at different points and you can get a lot further. It might be slower, it might take you longer, but you have something much more stable. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's
a profound African proverb right there.
There we go.
Yeah, and so also what I'm beginning to see now in your story is that was your college.
Correct.
That was your university.
Yes. But it was not like any other university because there was no partying. It was like we were sat in our bedrooms yelling into microphones, and that was it. Like, we didn't leave the house very much at all. We would all be in our bedrooms making videos round the clock. So it wasn't this, this partying, celebrating culture. It was like, okay, everyone, let's lock in.
Right. But what was then the goal? So once you all kind of assembled and figured out that you could go farther together, right? What became the goal of this group?
This is my favorite thing about the Sidemen's whole career and my whole career. There has never once really been a hard set, tangible goal. it's always just been, how can we take it a bit further?
Really?
What's going to be fun? What can we do next? What's going to work? And that's allowed us, one, to be very fluid in terms of the direction we take, because we haven't been eyes set on one target. We've kind of always tried. There's a lot of trial and error, but we never even set out to make the group into a group. It was, okay, we're a group, we make videos together, this is great. Then YouTube asked us to make an original series for them when they were trying to become a paid video streaming platform.
Okay.
They made a service called YouTube Red in an attempt to compete with Netflix and paid streaming platforms.
Yes.
And we made a series for them, realized very quickly that we didn't like working under their production team and their creatives. We preferred running our own. And that woke us up to think, okay, let's just try and make, I guess the goal that we set when we started making Sidemen content formally together was, let's make the best video we can once a week, every week. And we haven't really missed a week properly since we started doing that 6 or 7 years ago. But these goals aren't so much,
5
wider,
years.
long-term plans. It's just, let's build a system, let's trial and error. Let's host a charity football match and see if we can sell 10,000 tickets.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can sell it bigger next time, bigger the time after. But there's never been any long-term aims. It's, how do we keep this fun? How do we keep this authentic to ourselves? And how do we make it more interesting and better content for more people?
That's fascinating.
So-
Because I think there's so many people who probably think that, you all come together and very methodically have laid out, okay, in 3 years, this is what we want to be doing. We're going to launch this in the 5th year. But you're literally saying it is, how can we just the next
few months.
The next few months.
Yeah, it's always been that way, which is, completely different to kind of these corporate environments. And I think also it speaks back to how our careers started, in a sense that when we started our careers, we were just messing around, having fun. We weren't sat there thinking, okay, how can I start making 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month? How can I get to 20,000 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers? Because if we would really struggle to get there, it would dishearten us. And we'd be like, I've been trying so far to get to this point, and you can almost let yourself down. Whereas it's just, okay, can I take this a bit further? Let's see where it can go.
Yes.
It's how our career started, and it's kind of how we've continued it. Not to set these really tough, hard aims for ourselves that we'll feel a failure if we don't reach them. It's just like, celebrate every step of the way and every step in the right direction.
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
So,
That's mind-blowing.
yeah.
The house.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about what was it like to live in that house? Because I remember talking to Talia Mar
Yes.
about visiting. And I was like, tell me, because I want to know, like, did the house smell? Like, were they cooking together? Like, so what was it? What was the living dynamic in the house?
It was interesting because it was a place to just, the primary vision was make the best YouTube content you can, and then everything else hopefully works. I wouldn't say that it was particularly messy. It also wasn't clean. The guys would sometimes cook together. I never cooked a thing. It was oven food or just pre-made sandwiches and cereal. That was what I lived off. So again, we go back to this unhealthy period. I was very unhealthy, but I was just making it work myself, which was interesting. But it was a fun environment though. It was just so, times will never be like that ever again, in the sense that the expectation of content compared to now, the quality standard expected was so much lower, which was so much fun. We could pick up our phones and walk around the house and film things in each other's rooms. And there wasn't anything like it on YouTube. That was the cutting edge at that point, was doing that.
Yes.
So it was very easy for us just to mess around, have fun, be stupid, and form it into this content that people really enjoyed. So
and I understand the fun nature of it, right? But you're also a business at that point. I would presume you're starting to make significant income.
Yeah.
At that time. Now, so can you give us roughly what was being made at that early stage?
I mean, between all of us in the house, maybe a year or two into it, the house is generating kind of way in excess of $1 million a year in revenue between all of us. So we're making serious money at this point, but it's the opposite, where you wouldn't think that because I'm sat there in my pajamas eating a sandwich from Tesco's and like sleeping on my mattress that's on the floor. So
Right.
you wouldn't tell. So we were doing really well at that point, and that's what made it exciting.
Yes.
But I think, again, we just were so new to the space, especially for me. It was like, this is all just sitting in the bank. Save it, save it, save it, because we don't know how long this is going to last. We're doing great now, but and at that point, even maybe 4 or 5 years into our careers, we'd seen people have meteoric rises, huge declines, and we were sat there thinking, okay, our time will come. Fortunately, it didn't really, which was great, and that's because we were constantly reinventing, and we had each other to kind of support each other.
Yes.
And we did just reinvent so many times. We pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone so many times. But yeah, everyone was doing great at that time, and that did also make it kind of fun because some of the boys, they were buying chrome-wrapped Range Rovers, KSI's purple Lamborghini parked up outside the house. So you had this complete polar opposite where it was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Like, I think to your point is like, that will never happen again.
No.
It'll never happen again.
Yeah.
You know, what you lived through there. Was there any danger? Because I've read stories about people egging the house. And
Yeah.
Was there any real danger?
I don't think there was any real danger, but there was consistent disruption, disturbance from people around the house just because people wanted to come and see us, and that wasn't something that we'd thought forward ahead to. Especially when we moved into the house, we had millions less subscribers than we generated in the house. So I would say it was more of an annoyance. You've got people opening their letterbox on Halloween shouting,
really?
"Can you guys come downstairs and take a picture?" And we turned off all the lights, we're pretending we're not in. And we would duck under the window to go to each other's rooms.
Really?
Because we would be in a tricky position because effectively one, we understood that that's a complete violation of privacy. Someone shouldn't be doing that in the first place. But two, we realized if they know we're in the house, they're going to continue to do it. And then three, we also know, let's say we were feeling nice and we went down and said, okay, let's take a picture. Then people know that that's something that can happen and it's going to multiply the problem.
Yes.
So we were sat in this, I mean, again, you look back in hindsight and it's kind of hysterical because we were like trapped pretending we don't live in our own house because we were in this situation. We couldn't really, there was no solution to that problem.
No, and you created it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't blame anyone else.
Yeah. So if I can check in on how you perceived yourself, right? Because you described how at 13, you know, you felt uncool. The identity was really one of being the younger brother.
Yeah.
By the time, so you're in the house, you are how old? Early 20s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your identity in your early 20s, and how do you view yourself?
My entire identity was Vikkstar 123. At that point, it was
No more Vic?
no. That was just it was all I did every day was something YouTube related every single day of the week, but it was cool because it was working for me. It was my job. It was my identity. Everything was kind of growing. I was having fun with friends, so that's who I was. I was just someone who was enjoying doing what they were doing and could do it every day. So I was just celebrating that fact, and I didn't see anything else being important at that point.
Okay. What, for example, what was your biggest purchase at that time, early on?
So I did purchase myself a very nice car. I purchased a second-hand Aston Martin Vantage V8.
Okay.
And that was maybe the first time I felt cool. So I was like, I got this thing that is just undeniably cool. So that was probably, yeah. And actually, yeah, to this day is one of the biggest purchases I've made. But yeah, that was something. But then the majority of the money was just in savings.
Okay.
So.
All right. So big pro there. Big pro.
Yeah.
All right. So what about on the con side? What about if we can talk about criticism as much as you want to talk about the criticism? But this is something that everyone online has to face.
Yeah.
However, I think that you were the Sidemen, you were growing at a point where, in my opinion, you tell me, but trolling really became a thing.
Yeah.
Like trolling feels like a profession now.
People are good.
Yeah.
They've had years in the arts.
Very good, right?
Yeah.
And also, you had a massive profile.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine each of you have been targeted and that you must see the comments and it must make an impact.
Yes.
What has that impact? What was that impact on you then?
Ooh, yeah, it was forever tough, and I've always read a lot of the comments on my own content just because I feel like that's how it started. It was this relationship between us and the viewers in this real time. I post a video, they comment the same day. The next day I make another video having seen the comments of the day before. I think it's why YouTube has gone so far and we've been able to do so much that traditional publishers haven't been able to do.
Okay.
Because it's that real-time relationship. Some people call it parasocial. I don't think of it as that.
Okay.
I think it's community. It's a real-time community that you're building. And I think that meant that I would see a lot of it. And honestly, the majority of it was just kind of hating for the sake of hating. And I wouldn't feel that it was particularly true, which would make it very easy to disregard. And I think also important to have, I guess, build a strong self-esteem. Because if your self-esteem is low, you're going to start reading people saying negative things and almost start to, that maybe, maybe they are true, but sometimes it's safer to say, no, that's not true, that's not right, I'm going to ignore that.
Yes.
So that was the easier stuff to ignore. Sometimes stuff would hit on the nose and be like, I can see why you think that and why you don't like me because of that. And I think it was, it's not nice. No one's going to sit and say it's nice, but I think little by little, you microdose that negativity and you learn to just let it kind of wash over you. And I think also the more I grew up, the more I realized that actually everyone in life struggles at times, even people who seemingly are doing fantastic. And that can cause people to say things that they don't really think or feel. And I almost, a lot of the time, my mindset, when people write stuff that's completely horrible, I just have to think, I feel bad that you're in a position where you have to say these things, and I'm just going to try and ignore it and just hope that it all works out for that person. I guess that's one mechanism, but I think it's also true to a point. It's just, and also you can't please everyone. You have to have that mindset.
This is true.
So,
When you think about the criticism then, was there any criticism that upon reflection, you thought, wow, they were right, and then you actually adjusted as a result of it?
I think there have been so many of these over time. It's so strange actually having hours and hours of your social interactions be analysed by people sat at home, all with their own kind of psyche and mindset towards it. Then they have the power to tell you what they think.
Yes.
But also I think it's been great. I think it's rounded me as a person. I think, sometimes I talk too much in some environments. Sometimes I'm too quiet in other environments. People will comment that, like, really quiet this video, like, why didn't you feel the need to say anything or get involved in this moment? You kind of killed that moment. And sometimes I watch it and be like, you know what? Maybe I did. Maybe the next time I'm in that situation, I give it a bit more. Or it can be the opposite. Sometimes you do a bit too much and you watch it back and you're like, or it's the way the edit lands, you're like, okay, that was a bit, I can see why. And I don't mind it. Sometimes I can try and skew some of it as self-improvement, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Is, you think in your head what you think to do is right, but every person is different. And when you've got millions of people commenting on the things you do,
Yes.
it would be almost arrogant to ignore all of it and view all of it as unnecessary criticism. And often it's not written in the nicest way. And that's where I think everyone can be better, because I think everyone's entitled to their criticism. But it's not something that I, one, pretend that doesn't affect me at all, or two, I pretend that I completely ignore it, because I don't think there's any person that truly can just completely ignore it.
No. Can we talk about all the incredible things that the Sidemen have built? Because I had to go through the list, and I was like, you guys have chicken shops, vodka brands, television production company. Yeah. It's like, do you know all? You must know the whole list. Do you have the whole list?
I know the whole list, but honestly, I couldn't reel it all off because we're so scatterbrained in terms of like tapping into everything that's going on. Fortunately, we have a big team around us, and they're helping to keep all of these things going.
Okay,
so you have the list.
So I have just some, right?
Okay.
So you've launched a clothing brand,
Yeah.
Sidemen Clothing, all right? Launched a vodka brand,
Yes.
a fried chicken chain,
Yeah.
right? 5 outlets currently in the UK, 1 in Singapore.
Yes.
15 more are opening this year.
That's going to be fun.
A documentary, obviously,
Yes.
the Sidemen Show, right? A cereal brand.
Yes.
2 seasons so far on Netflix with a new season coming.
I think we're at 2 in the UK and 1 US season of Inside, so 3.
3.
It's going on 4.
Go.
Yeah.
Sidemen Productions,
Yes.
which now is another entity. I mean, it's so interesting because hearing you say this was not premeditated.
Not at all. No roadmap whatsoever.
So are you all building Sidemen to outlast Sidemen?
Yes, partially. And also just to be always bigger and better. It just the things that we've done, selling out Wembley Stadium for our charity match 2 years in a row, that's testament to the hard work and raising all of that money for the great charities that we support and bringing all of those people out to have this fun experience. Being able to do stuff like that, that's, if we talk to say what's the best thing, the best fruits of your labor you've seen, it's that event in itself. So yeah, the vision is to just keep building towards stuff like that. And there's no roadmap anyone could have drawn, 13 years ago when we started making Sidemen videos. No human alive could have possibly brainstormed a way to selling out Wembley Stadium.
No.
And even if they did, perfectly, we would have looked at it and laughed and said, I think that's a bit ridiculous. So.
And look at this. And the last game you scored, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
I did not expect to as well. I was just in the right place at the right time. I was like, oh.
Look at this. The one who was never selected
Yes.
for any team sports.
Correct. Last pick for football every lunch at school, pretty much.
Scoring at Wembley.
Yeah.
Look at this.
That's testament to the journey. And I think that's what makes it so exciting and also so special. You can't write moments like that. You can't manufacture moments or journeys like that. They just have to take their natural course.
No, not at all.
So.
At what point do you believe your parents were? At what point did they finally grasp the vision, right? Because they didn't when you were still in the home.
Yeah.
At what point did they grasp it?
I think it started to kind of tick over when I would be out with them in public and people would come and ask to say hi. And I think that gave it this very real, tangible point. But I would say that first kind of real big moment was probably the first Sidemen charity match at Southampton Stadium. And I mean, for them, it must have been very bizarre because I'm like the kid they took to football training that clearly wasn't getting anywhere, clearly wasn't doing well, but trying his best. So I think maybe for them, that was like a culmination of, wow, there's all of these people, these 12,000 people who've showed up to a stadium to watch him and all these guys play football. So that might have been the biggest visual representation of like, that is what 12,000 people looks like. Now it makes more sense.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
One question that I'm dying to ask too is that when you have so many personalities, right? Big personalities, and you're growing in brand, in recognition, in income, right? How do you all, or actually I shouldn't say how do you all, how do you deal with feeling as if maybe, for example, like if a joke is over the line, right? Because there's always tension. There's always tension in groups. How do you manage that tension?
I think we're all pretty open, which is nice. I think, we all like to, poke fun at each other. It's the nature of the business, funnily enough, and it's very English in its nature. But I think, and especially as we've grown older, it's become a lot easier for us to come in and say, this was a bit far, this made me uncomfortable, this needs to be removed from the video, or don't do stuff like this. And I think we've all learned to kind of respect that. And that's been really important. We have a lot of mutual respect for each other. And that's allowed, any disputes to, be solved fairly quickly. And most of us will just sit and talk with each other. And that's how it works.
And do you go directly to the person to have a conversation? Do you all sit down as a team and say, you know what, this was over the line, this needs to be removed?
I think we have a group chat, and kind of anything that we're discussing just kind of gets discussed in that. Or we used to have more meetings where we'd kind of all sit down together. But I wouldn't say there's been many things, so big that they felt they needed kind of a full boardroom meeting over. I think we know each other super well. We've grown up together. So we get a feeling for when things are not right. Maybe someone will step in the middle and just be that middle point. And it's nice because there's so many of us, depending on the issue, someone can step in and be that correct person to just kind of help the situation mellow over and work through. So, I think it's just a mutual respect and understanding and knowing each other well.
Okay. Has there ever been content that you have regretted?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so, really. Maybe I watched something back and I think I didn't act in the quite correct way. But also, that's part of why our content, I think, is so interesting, is because it's so real. It's not scripted. Reactions are genuine to how I, as a person, will react to a situation.
True.
Sometimes people don't like how a person reacts. We might be doing a cheap versus expensive holiday, and I've been on the cheap side a bunch of times in a row, so I'm gonna, have a bit of a rage, which is great because it's human and also I'm usually kind of giving it a bit more. And then some people will say, "Oh, the way he acted there was so ungrateful for the experience he's having." But then also people will say, "I find that so funny. Look at him crashing out. This is hilarious." So I think sometimes I think about how I acted in certain situations and whether I would change that or not.
Okay.
But there's never been something that I've done in content where I wish that never went out or happened. So yeah.
How much pressure do you feel today for content to perform? Because when I look at the budgets of some of the content that you're producing, I've seen that you're sometimes spending up to £500,000.
That's our most expensive one.
Is £500,000.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure for this content to perform?
I think, being honest, yes, which is tough. We've been trying, especially in the last year or two, to reduce that expectation within all of us and make sure that primarily the content we think is fun and engaging, because we always think that comes first. You can build content to be kind of mass attention grabbing and it can perform better, but is it better in the long run? It's like a sugary sweet. Some content's a sugary sweet and you can get lost chasing the sugary sweet. But I think, what we try to do as best we can is put the content first. But you're right, we have, including freelancers, over 100 employees. So big overheads, big video budgets. There has to be a balance between, okay, we need these videos to perform. But I think at the moment we're at a fair enough sweet spot where we can go and have fun on our shoots, and we've got a lot of people helping us kind of elevate them from a production quality standard.
Okay.
But like you say, it's always a bit of both.
It is, and so what I like what you're describing here, and what I feel like you're describing is you've emerged from a creator to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right. You are a shareholder of a large business. We just painted how big the business is.
Yeah.
So when you view yourself today, your identity.
Yes.
And I know there's music that we're going to talk about as well, but what would you say your identity is today?
Yeah, it's several things, which is nice, which is fun. It's diverse. I am a content creator more than even a YouTuber now, I would say, which is kind of cool to say. I don't love the term influencer.
I don't see you as an influencer, though.
But I think also, I create content in any way I can. And I think influencer sometimes devalues. It's talking purely about the byproduct of the content. It's like, oh, this content gets lots of views, so it has lots of influence. You're an influencer, whereas for most of us, it's the creative process comes first. It's us. How can I create something good? And if I create something good, then it has influence. And I feel like, it's just an interesting one that I don't particularly love is people jump on the influence side as opposed to the creative side.
Yes.
In a means to kind of devalue, I think, anyway. But I see myself as that as one thing. I see myself as a partner, as a dog dad, as someone who loves to travel and is lucky to have friends all over the world that I've met through this career that I want to go and spend time with, as a business owner responsible for employees, as an investor. We also have, one thing you missed on your list is we have our own venture capital fund that we started just over 2 years ago.
Nice.
Where we're investing into startups, seed and pre-seed companies that we believe in, and also using our influence to support those companies as well as our cash investment.
Okay.
So that's
super.
also another job that I kind of lead on, which is funny that I ended up in finance from playing video games in my bedroom. So
that's wild, yeah.
That's one part of it. And then also there's this new facet, which is the music and DJing side, which was another hobby that has turned into a side job for now, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think now a lot of different things, which I think is healthy and good, and I'm happy with that.
Yes. I could see that you're living a life that you probably never dreamt.
Not even, I couldn't have imagined 10% of it, let alone the rest. So yeah, very fortunate.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have to ask you, obviously, about KSI leaving.
Yes.
But here's what I want to know. I would have. Well, you have to tell me if operationally anything changes.
The 6 of us have said that we want to carry on making the content, and we have the same team that we've built to help us deliver the content. So we are continuing making content and having a great time as the 6 of us, which is amazing because we did always say at one point, we said, if one of us leaves, then others leave. Does that end the Sidemen? That was a complete unknown that arrived on our doorstep, and there is no roadmap. There is no off ramp. We never built an off ramp. There was no on ramp to the Sidemen, so to speak. So fortunately, operationally, the Sidemen is much the same, which is what we wanted.
All right, I can't believe I'm saying this. We are on the pathway. We could see it. The light is at the end of the tunnel to 1 million subscribers. And so here's what I want to say is, if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you are not yet subscribed, I ask you to do so. Why? Because it signals to the world that these conversations matter. So if you're not subscribed, please do so. If you are, thank you so very much. So now, with music, here's my biggest question, is that do you feel as if there's extra pressure placed on you because you're coming into music as a creator first?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. And what is that pressure that you feel?
Ooh, I think it's, I'm still learning the art in front of a large audience of people, which is a challenge. As I said earlier, everything comes with a trade-off, and that is part of my trade-off, is that I wasn't able to kind of start DJing smaller rooms and build up and kind of, really build up my skills as I kind of went on. I was thrown straight in the deep end. My first show was sold out Ministry of Sound London when I'd only ever DJed to myself in my bedroom. So I was horrified at the worst imposter syndrome ever, thinking, what am I doing? This is going to be a mess. Turned out fine, was great vibes.
Yes.
But I think I will always have that slight, people will always have somewhat of a opinion that I've got to go a bit further to kind of to make it work. And that's what I'm trying to do because I genuinely enjoy it. Okay.
So when did you first fall in love with DJing?
So I first fell in love with EDM music. So a record label called Spinning Records, and it must have been 2015.
Okay.
Invited me to Miami Ultra Music Festival. Have you ever been to Ultra?
I've never been to Ultra, but my brother went to University of Miami. So
Okay.
I've been to Miami a million times, but yeah.
Have you ever been to an EDM festival? EDC?
No,
Ultra?
You know what, in full transparency, is EDM is a genre of music that I only have heard after I've gone to the after after party. Like I've never just listened to it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So tell me about it.
So I went to this festival and my job was to film it for my YouTube channel, which I did.
Okay.
And I had this artist kind of backstage access that the record label had set up for me. And I'd never seen anything like it in my life. This big Miami park, these huge stages, fireworks, DJs playing music that I was like, I really enjoy this music. I just completely fell in love with the scene and that music then.
Yes.
And again, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to try and go to as many of these as I can. So I went to Miami Ultra again the next year. I went to EDC in Las Vegas, went to Tomorrowland in Europe, and a Norwegian legendary producer and DJ by the name of Alan Walker. Became good friends with him. Also, DJs couldn't tour during lockdown. Very strange time for them. We could still just about make videos, but their entire livelihood was closed.
Yes.
International travel's gone. That was what they did. They were in a different country every day.
Yes.
And so they turned to video games. And I was gaming with Alan during lockdown. We got to know each other through that. Then lockdown finished, 2022. I was going to Tomorrowland. He was playing a sunset slot on the main stage in front of 80,000 people.
Wow, that's incredible.
Which is just amazing. I think it was like my third or fourth time at Tomorrowland. And he sent me a message and he said, hey, I get one special guest on the main stage with me. Would you like to come and join me? And I'm thinking, what? Of course, but why? Sure. And we met with him at the festival, got to know him a bit better. He took me on stage with him. There's all these people with the lights up. And I'm looking out at a stage that I've stood in the crowd of 4 or 5 times, thinking, how on earth am I here behind the decks? Really special, cool moment. And then we came off the stage and Alan basically said to me, he said, you clearly love the music. I see you've been coming to these festivals. You met up at them over the years. You've already got an audience of people that will support you in what you're doing. So if you can learn to DJ and you can start learning to produce and work with some good people to make your own music, then you can see where it goes.
Wow, look at that.
And I couldn't say no. It was one of those moments.
Yeah, but how in the world, Vic, do you balance now DJing and that career? I can see that's growing, and I can see the passion. You lit up when you talked about being on stage.
Fun.
So I can see you're in that zone. You're basically running a VC firm, right? You have all of your other obligations with the Sidemen, content creation. How do you balance it all?
So I think a big part of it is huge props to everyone that works on our team. So I've got Ryan, who manages my music project, and the Sidemen, we have a big team that manage different areas of all of those projects. So that's really important.
Okay.
Something that I didn't understand early on, and the Sidemen were very much build your team bigger, go further vibes from early on. And I was very much in the mindset, I need to save all the money I'm making here. I can't be paying out all of this. But obviously it lets you build something much more impactful and cool.
Great advice. Great advice.
That's a big part of how it's possible. And then also, I'm a bit obsessive with details. So I've been trying to line things up. So, for example, I had a friend's wedding in Australia. And then the week before we had Sidemen filming in Southeast Asia, in Thailand. So I booked a show in Thailand while I was there with the Sidemen. Then I carried on to Australia and played 4 shows during the F1 while I was over there. So with a bit of kind of strategic routing,
yes,
I can make it work. And also, I'm only taking DJ shows that I'm kind of excited to do rather than taking shows, multiple shows a week and kind of running myself to the ground doing it. I'm trying to just keep it majority as kind of a passion project. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm doing it. But it's a lot of balancing, and when it's stuff you love, it never feels like work. I'm sure it's the same for you with the podcast, right?
Yeah, it's the same. You know, with all the projects I do, I'm with you. But at the same time, the balance is so hard because, for example, last year I was running around doing a million different things, and I went to the dentist. The dentist was like, Paul, your molar is completely cracked, and it's because you're stressed.
Oh, wow.
And I realized that I was not managing my stress well. And this is where I wanted to get into, if we can talk about Crohn's disease.
Yes.
Because one thing that I've noticed about in my research with Crohn's is how fatiguing it can be.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear from you. How do you manage Crohn's with everything that you're doing? And also, for anyone who's unaware of what Crohn's disease is, what is it?
Yeah, so Crohn's is an autoimmune condition where, for whatever reason, the immune system attacks cells in the gut that it thinks are foreign. So it kills them, and it can cause a lot of damage. It can cause a lot of knock-on symptoms that are not pleasant at all. And it's kind of like the food you eat is the fuel for your body. So if you're not digesting it properly, if you've got issues with your gut, it can have all these knock-on effects, the kind of fatigue, nausea, gastrointestinal discomfort, bleeding, all of the unfortunate symptoms. And it's tough, I'll be honest. And I think especially because it's an invisible condition, that's one of the most challenging things. And also it's a lifelong condition. There's no cure for it. So those are all difficult things that were difficult for me to process. I was kind of in denial for quite a while. It's something that's difficult to get fully diagnosed because it's not properly understood yet.
Could I ask, how old were you when you were diagnosed?
It would have been around my symptoms started 4 or 5 years ago, and I was probably formally diagnosed around 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. So this is recent.
Yeah, and that's how it works. It can come on at any point. It can just, and maybe, I'm also thinking back, maybe I always had some slight issues, but it became a real problem. I was hospitalized. I had a few months where or like about a month or two where I really couldn't eat very much.
And so you were hospitalized for what?
Yeah, for a few days, just from intense pain, and I couldn't really eat without feeling pain, and that was not great. That was kind of and it flares, so it can kind of come and go. So that was really difficult. I think there was a Sidemen video shortly afterwards where we were doing a traveling video, and we'd been running around filming all day. I'd been like living off snacks, and we arrived in Istanbul, and I just said, I cannot. I'm in pieces. And so we kind of stopped our video there and flew home the next morning. One, I do have to kind of try and look after myself more. So in the early years, I was super unhealthy, but I do try and make sure I'm getting enough sleep. I exercise well. I'm trying to be really careful with my diet. Medication is super helpful. And I think for a lot of time, I was kind of in denial, and I was like, do I really have this autoimmune condition? Maybe if I just eat a bit cleaner, maybe if I just sleep a bit more, rest a bit more, it's going to go away. You hang on to like that hope.
Yes.
And it's bizarre as well, because it's not like when you get a stomach bug or like I broke this collarbone, it's like, okay, it's going to suck for a while, but then it will get better and you're fine. It took a while for me to get around the head sense of there is no known cure for this. So I need to kind of address it, tackle it, deal with it. And fortunately, it took a few medications. I found one that did work, and it controlled the majority of my symptoms of the illness, but also horrible side effects, and it led me to kind of think, okay, maybe I'm going to stop taking this because of the side effects. This is quite recently. And then all of the illness symptoms came back. And it can be super frustrating because you're kind of thinking there's nothing perfect for this.
Yes.
I'm going to go on to a new autoimmune medication hopefully soon, which hopefully works better. That's the nice thing is the science is developing. They're starting to understand it more. They're developing more immune therapies. And I've kind of accepted I need some sort of medication because I've tried everything I can, which is also so frustrating because you think I'm going to live and eat so clean, so healthy, and it's not enough. And I think a lot of people suffer with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or other autoimmune illnesses, and they all tend to be pretty invisible. It's stuff inside you that's not working. So one, it's very easy for people that aren't you to look at you and go, why are you being so lazy? Why are you sat down? Like, why are you not giving it 100%? And sometimes in your head, you think, what? Actually, yeah, I am just, maybe I didn't sleep enough last night. You kind of almost want to give yourself excuses that aren't the illness. And you can't see the illness. You can't measure the illness.
Yes.
So I think...
And I would imagine, too, for Vic, one thing that I've definitely picked up in this conversation is you have prided yourself on productivity.
Yeah.
So for you to be taken out because of this illness,
Yeah.
that must be even more excruciatingly hard for you to deal with.
It is, but kind of a few years ago, I realized that I had to take some of the focus off my work and build stuff that wasn't my work. And if I was solely focused on my work and when I was going through the worst of my Crohn's, it would have, I don't know, I would have really struggled to deal with that at the point where I was working 24/7 round the clock. Had I had my worst symptoms then, you get dealt the hand you're dealt. But I guess what I also want to show and why I talk about it is because I think you can still continue to achieve. Sometimes you feel defeated by the illness, but I've learned I have to do the testing, I have to try different medications, I have to deal with side effects of medications, and it has got better and it can get better. Not entirely. Maybe one day. I'm hopeful for science, and maybe that's the one thing I'm rooting for AI to crack the code on sooner or later.
But I think what's important about you talking about your Crohn's is that you're admittedly saying, "Hey, I'm still trying to figure it out."
Yeah.
Just like your music, you're like, "I'm going to learn in front of you."
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of courage that you have to have in order to do that. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But also, again, I think it's important for people to, also a lot of people don't even understand what an autoimmune illness is. So someone might say they have Crohn's, they go, "Oh, you've got a bit of a bad stomach. Is that it?" And it's like hospital trips and can often lead to bowel cancer as well. And we're seeing a huge rise in young people with bowel cancer. Is actually a good friend of my wife, who's 28, was recently diagnosed with an early stage bowel cancer. Fortunately, they caught it early. She's had surgery to remove that the tumor and is in remission of the cancer now. But I guess it's another reason to talk about it is, it's something that a lot of people, they don't talk about gut issues, but I guess it's also, this is my chance to tell people if something is not right, have it looked at and make sure that you're kind of fine, because it's sometimes inappropriate to talk about toilet habits and your gut and what's going on with food, and people don't want to go and talk to a doctor about it. But if you do have a condition, an autoimmune condition, or you do have a cancer or early stages of a cancer, it's something that is so preventable if caught early. So I feel like, given my experience, I need to talk about that.
This is so important because also, before you were, in preparation for you coming here, I thought to myself, how prevalent is Crohn's?
Massive.
And from the research, I see 1 in every 350 people.
Yeah.
That's prevalent, and I would suspect most don't know.
Yeah.
Because to your point, there could be bleeding or a pain that they're dealing with that they don't verbalize.
Yeah.
And so I think your story is very compelling in that, talk to someone about it. Yeah.
100%. And also, I think it's a weird thing to say, but don't be afraid of going on to medication, because for so much time I wanted the mildest of medication, and I thought I'm gonna beat this myself, and it kind of, took a long process for me to kind of realize, no, I need the medication, and it did treat my Crohn's symptoms. So
yes.
And it can be wrong for some people, it can be right for other people. It's not a perfect science, so to speak, and often medicine is given in cases where it isn't needed, and that was always my concern, because I was like, I don't want to be given, hugely biologically altering medicine that I don't need. But clearly I did need it, but I just didn't want to hear what the doctors were saying, and I was like, maybe it's something else, maybe it's. So that's just my experience, and I'm not a medical advisor. Obviously, speak to your medical people first.
Yeah,
but,
I think the message here is talk to someone.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself. Yeah. Can I ask you? I have to ask you about the social media ban.
Yes.
Right, and the reason why I ask you about this is because obviously the UK has instituted a social media ban for ages 16 and under.
Yes.
And what I realize looking at your career is that if that ban was in place, quite potentially you would not be where you are today.
Correct. Yes.
So what's your opinion on the ban?
It's actually, funnily, a mixed opinion. And that is because, yes, on the positive, there's so many great young people doing fantastic stuff with social media. But at the same time, it's changed so much in the life that I've lived on social media since its inception to where it is now, to where I can understand why they think the solution is to ban it. I don't think the solution is to ban it, but the way the algorithm feeds short form content based on scrolling patterns, its own idea of your interests, I think it's not a healthy form of content to consumers. And I say that myself as someone who's an adult, but as a young child consuming that content, I can't imagine for a lot of people it's very good. So I understand that maybe an extreme system needs to be put in place to protect those people who are going to fall victim to it being bad for them. But where do you draw the line? Yeah. I don't know the answer. I don't think it's good or bad. And I'm saying that as someone with this huge UK audience under the age of 16. So potentially a massive, massive, dent in career and earnings. But at the same time, I can understand why the government want to put it in place.
Right. No, it's interesting. I didn't even think about that piece as well. The fact that you have a massive audience under the age of 16.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is going to definitely impact your business.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a tricky one because I do think it's changed so much even from when we started making content. All you had was long form content. That's where we told our stories. That's where we became who we were. And now there has been this pivot to our long form content should really have short form clippable moments because that is what is so much in demand. But at the same time, I think how long this podcast is. You tell a real story in time. You can't tell it in 7 seconds. And I do worry, where short form content is going to take us in general. Yes.
What do you believe you still have to prove, and to whom?
I'd like to think and say nothing. I don't know if is that ever the case? You always want to prove something, but I can't tangibly think of I want to tick that off. I would absolutely love to do that. It's kind of almost at this point, I try and look at everything. Everything's a blessing. Every next step I make, I feel like I'm happy that I've achieved enough with what I was given and been able to have so much freedom and do so much fun and cool stuff that now every next step is just a blessing. So I don't have anything where I'm like, I want to go and make that happen. It's never been kind of my mindset, really.
So I want to show you this one last thing.
Okay.
All right, you ready for it?
Another photo.
Okay, you ready? Yeah.
I like the real photo as well. So much of stuff is on screens nowadays.
The real photo, what I've noticed is a photo in your hand allows you to reflect in a way and slow down in a way that we just don't do enough. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what I want you to do.
Okay.
This photo, I want you to describe what's happening in this photo.
Yeah.
And then I want you to tell me the message that you now, as a 30-year-old man, have for this little boy.
Okay. Here's a fun one. So this is me, I think, at a school assembly playing the violin. And this is probably, the younger Vic that we talked about, who's just trying his best, He's not playing the coolest instrument in the world. I did learn the piano and drums, so the drums was the one that was cool. Violin, not very cool, but I was trying my best. It was a challenge, but I was learning it. And what would I tell this Vic? See, this is tricky because I think it would be nice to say all of the lessons that I've learned, which is get out of your comfort zone, be confident, take risks, learn as you go, trial and error. But at the same time, I feel like giving myself that might have changed everything. I think everything worked out well. So my genuine advice to myself would be, keep doing what you're doing. It's going to work out. And then I would end up hopefully here. But isn't that crazy, the butterfly effect, right? I could tell him something and he could all send it all west.
He can go off.
Yeah.
Is there something though that little Vic you think needed that could be just a little whisper? to him?
Again, I'm gonna say no because he made it work. That's
did.
the thing. So he didn't need anything else, and anything else may have potentially led him astray a different path that wouldn't have worked out so well. So I'm very fortunate to be sat in a position where I can say I wouldn't give myself too many words. And I think the things that I said or the lessons that I've tried to say that I've learned, I would apply them to anyone else, but not myself because it seemed to work.
That's interesting.
And maybe you have to learn the lesson yourself. Maybe being told the lesson isn't enough. Maybe that's what life is. You have to experience the lesson to really learn from it. And that's where you grow. That's it. So.
All right. That I'll take. That I'll take.
There we go.
Sir,
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Can I have this?
You can have this back, yeah.
He's like, I don't want that. I'm doing festivals right now. Right. All right. So the last question. This is everyone gets this question.
Okay.
It's my favorite question. Is if you think through all of the conversations you've had in life.
Okay.
I know you've had some incredible conversations. Tell me which one stands out to you the most. Who was the conversation with?
Okay.
And what did you learn?
Okay. You're going to have to sit and think for a minute or two. I've had a few conversations. Just a few in my life.
Just a few. I can imagine.
Just a few in my life.
I can imagine.
Oh, if I could pin it to one conversation. Wow. I'm going to have to, I've got too many boxes to fill with kind of different ideas. My life has so many different areas, but I think given that we've talked a lot about my career, if I had to think about one conversation that I had about my career that was really important, was interestingly, it was a conversation with my mum. And when I wanted to start my gap year, she made me almost write a little contract to myself, just saying that I would kind of continue to make videos every day. I would continue to enjoy. I would try and make it work. And I think that conversation was really important to kind of have that as I started this chapter where I was taking this risk, to be given that accountability to continue to show up and force it to work at some point. So in terms of my career, I'd say that was maybe one of the most important conversations. But in reality, it was this string of conversations across months. But I do remember that moment where I kind of said, I'm doing this. I'm going to continue to enjoy and make videos every day.
Yes. I love it. I find this question so interesting because typically people they've had lots of great conversations, right? Mm-hmm. They'll go to a conversation with a loved one, like a mom or a grandparent, and just recollect something so simple, but yet profound, you know? I really enjoyed this. Yeah. There's lots of nuggets that I'm taking personally that have inspired me. Definitely just looking at the next level opposed to 10 levels down the road. I love that. Mm-hmm. But to me, your story stands as this 14-year-old boy who was really searching for identity. Yeah. And I can see that your identity has been forged through your success, through all of your challenges, right? But most importantly is you have had to live through them. Yeah. And that is exactly the advice that you, in essence, gave your younger self. Yeah. And that, to me, that's what stands the most. And it's interesting because you're 30, you're a young guy, like you are. And so I can't imagine what, I know you don't want to think about the next 30. You just want to think about 31. But I can't imagine what the next 30 is going to be. It's going to be incredible. Lots of learning to do. Yeah, a lot. So Vic, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I've also learned about myself through your questioning, because these are so many thoughts that you never have to put into words. So thank you for, you exploring the story with me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Vikkstar 123. I respected that Vic came here during this time where a lot of people have questions, especially around KSI leaving the Sidemen. But he did a great job of holding to his boundaries, but at the same time explaining to us that this was an unplanned event. However, they have now created a plan to continue. And so for anyone who ever had a question around, will the Sidemen continue? Vic answered that today. He seems to me to be highly disciplined. And I think that's the secret to his success, is how disciplined he is. You know, when you think about how consistently he said, you know, when he passed on university, how he committed to doing a video every day, and he went 8 years doing the video, sometimes multiple times per day. That requires a level of discipline of showing up that many of us can't do. What's up, good people? If you've made it this far, let me tell you, I appreciate you. You are truly part of this community, and you like long episodes. But quite honestly, this doesn't go unnoticed. Now, if you haven't already, I want you to hit subscribe. It's right here. And if you've really enjoyed this conversation, I know you're gonna love this one.